Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian, and this is episode 285, and this is our first movie we're doing of the year. This is good. After a couple of not off topic, but like our preview and opening episodes we usually like to start off with.
Yeah, we just did just wrapped up recording our February dismemberment, which you will hear tomorrow.
Which surprisingly goes on to a bunch of tangents and gives you other things to watch.
It was a very high energy dismemberment.
It was
very high energy.
Yes, and it basically we'll leave it as actually you'll hear this first. So we'll leave it as a surprise to you tomorrow. But there's basically something we're making you watch. Actually, two things. One's a show. And then another's a classic 80s movie that you have to... You basically we assigned you homework.
Yeah. And we may have spent more time talking about non-Blu-rays than we did actual Blu-rays.
Well, it was such a small month in terms of releases. It was only 19 releases, so we had to fill the time somehow.
Yeah. So this week we are doing a movie called Suitable Flesh, which you may have seen come out recently on Shudder, starring Heather Graham and the great Barbara Crampton. And
who doesn't age. She does not age, this woman.
Heather Graham doesn't age either.
It should be either one of them. Yeah, I don't know.
She's
if they have
54.
There's no way she.
Oh my God.
Both of them, and you know what it is. I mean, yes, okay, sure, you can put makeup on, but I'm sorry, they just move young, they speak young, they act young, they look young. They don't age. These two women.
No, they do not.
What
age.
Deal they made with the devil, but
yeah.
Because you see Barbara Crampton speak a lot, like through her various things, and she's very big on social media. So she doesn't, yes, you can put a filter on, but there's no filter good enough like for that. Trust me, she does not age, that woman. She's as vibrant as ever.
I couldn't believe when I saw Heather Graham was 54 years old.
Yeah.
It's like,
we grew up with her.
I know.
I don't understand. I didn't realize she was. I thought she was my age, but she's a little older, a couple of years older. But like I grew up with her like around the same time. Like her first movies started right when I was around her age, and she was that age in the movies. So it was like it's kind of weird to think that, but then when you think about it, but I aged. What was she supposed to stop? During that time. It's like that shirt I keep getting ads for where it says, "I feel weird being or something like that shirt is something like I feel weird with talking to old people that are my age or something like that."
I've seen that shirt. It was in the mall. We went to the mall last weekend and that same shirt was in the window. It was something like, it's weird that old people are my age or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was something like that. But yeah. All right. Yes. So let's get to our first chop. All right, Brian, not a big first chop here. We talked about, do we talk about all the movies we're watching for this horror challenge? But it doesn't make much sense because we're posting those on Twitter. So we're kind of posting them already that we've watched them and we're kind of giving our thoughts on them. And then I was like, then I don't want to come back and first shop and list off 7 movies I've seen. So check Twitter.
I feel like we might be able to post just some ones, kind of like discuss some of the ones, that were like standouts.
Yeah.
We might pop out. Well, that one, the one we could both agree on was the Be My Cat.
Yes,
which that director actually liked our stuff, so I like.
Oh my God!
Which that one, if you haven't seen, okay, it's basically Tim saw it first, and he made it sound so intriguing. I had to watch. It's basically this. It's weird. It's so well done, though. I have to say because basically it's this guy, and he decides he's like he loves Anne Hathaway, and it's kind of like it's basically a horror version of My Date with Drew, if you've seen that one.
Exactly.
Tim and I both love that one. And it's basically he wants to film a movie to basically impress Anne Hathaway so that she'll do a film with him. And it's it's set in that found footage style, and the guy just plays like this creepy guy, this stalker guy so well. And it's definitely been like more disturbing films. I mean, it's definitely like there's some disturbing elements in this, but this one's just something about it is done so well.
I mean, it's so realistic. Like people have accused this guy of actually being like an Anne Hathaway stalker, which he's not. It's just it's all fictional.
Yeah, and it's a trilogy he's done. Like, actually, the other two movies are. It's interesting. He did like. Did you read this? I read about it.
Yeah,
he made a trilogy, and it's like, but it's a stylistic trilogy. So basically, none of the movies have anything to do with each other. It's just like, I think it's the percentage of like ad lib versus scripted.
Yeah, like the last movie was more scripted than ad lib, but the first movie was more ad lib than scripted. It's a whole, and like the middle one's like 50-50. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's I want to see all of them, and actually, I do at some point I would love to actually chat with this guy because he's a very unique filmmaker. But like I always tease Tim because he like in the movie he keeps going Anne, and so like you want to see Anne, and like so I torment Tim with that now. Yes. But it actually is very good like in terms of a found footage one, and it was on Tubi, right? I think you found it.
Yeah, I felt bad because it's Be My Cat, a film for Anne, and I said a movie for Anne, which I botched the title in my freaking Twitter review, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's okay. It's same difference. But yeah, Be My Cat. It's very disturbing.
Yes.
So the first thing I had here was I've told you that me and the kids are watching the Friday the 13th franchise through, and so we started with the first one, obviously. And I tell you what, the kids have been so on board with this. Like every night that I have free, where I'm not doing podcasting or game night or whatever, they're like, "Daddy, are we watching Friday the 13th tonight?" I'm like, "Yes." Go get the popcorn. We're going upstairs. We're watching it. We get blow pops, we get candy, we do the whole 9 yards. We watch Friday the 13th. That's really fun. But we watched Friday the 13th Part 8. Well, let's say we watched half of Friday the 13th Part 8 the other week, and the kids got so bored with it. They hated Part 8. And I warned them going in. I said, guys, some people think this is like the worst one of the whole franchise.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to tell you, a lot of people think this is the worst one. They got it. They could not get into this movie. They were so bored. They finally Joshua just got up and left, which he has not done for any of the previous 7 movies. He's been riveted. Got up and left like 30 minutes in. We had 30 minutes left in Part 8. I mean, Jason had already made it to Manhattan, which she had gotten over.
Or Vancouver, really.
Yeah, well, she had gotten over the worst of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And so, and Anna was like, "Daddy, how much time's left?" I said, "We still got 30 minutes left." She said, "Can we just finish this another day? I can't do it." So she quit.
They lost their stamina.
It's even worse. So not only have they not gone back to finish it, they haven't even asked to see any of the other films. Like this killed the entire franchise rewatch.
No.
Killed it.
I mean, granted, after Part 7, I mean, I know some people love Jason X. They have their love-hate things of it, and the remake has its own merits. And Freddy vs. Jason's a fun one, but really, as far as Friday the 13th films go, it kind of like went off the rails at 7.
Yeah, I think 7 was the last,
like the last
one. Yeah,
like kind of core Friday the 13th one, and you can stop there and kind of be satisfied.
Yeah.
So you may have a hard time getting them back. I mean, and especially because because remember what happened? Because after 8 was the skip for a while, and then it went to Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
which is like unofficial Part 9, which is like that might be hard because there's a lot of like sex in that one. So I don't know how you're gonna.
I've got to preview that one.
Yeah, you may have to go back, especially if you have the unrated one. The unrated one is extremely graphic in the beginning with sex and nudity and stuff. So, you may want to I mean, they could be okay, like finishing at this point and probably be more than satisfied. You maybe want to show them, like, you know what you could do? You could even do kind of like then now start the Nightmare on Elm Street ones, go through there, then show them Freddy vs. Jason, call it a day.
Yeah, well, that's what I told Anna. I said, because I asked her, I said, what do you want to watch next? You want to watch Halloween? You want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street? She said, Nightmare on Elm Street for sure.
Oh, okay. See, there you go.
I said, okay, well, then we'll watch those, and then we'll watch Freddy vs. Jason, and you'll be good.
Yeah, because really, I mean, and granted, like, usually when I watch through the Friday the 13th, and I do a full rewatch, I'll continue through, just like, I mean, there's entry. Well, by the way, how'd they handle 5? That one's really, like, graphic. I forgot. Did you mention it?
Well, you know what? I knew that there was that famous, obviously, Part 5's got a famous, like, nudity scene.
Yeah.
But, and I told him, I said, guys, going in, you're going to see some boobs. Like, I'm just sorry. You're going to see some boobies. And they were like, they're like, it's whatever, Dad. And they're like, whatever. So, I mean, they've both been through class, and they know at this point. I watched them when I was Joshua's age. Like, I'm like, you know what? I'm not showing you anything you ain't seen before.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, they're smart kids. They know if they hear cussing, they don't repeat it. If they see this, they don't. If they see people doing drugs, that's not okay. They're not gonna go. They're not the type that's gonna see something on screen and go, "Oh, I need to do that."
No, your kids are, I know firsthand. They are extremely intelligent, and they know right from wrong.
So they were okay with it. Yeah, and Joshua, he knows, like, if he gets a little too graphic, he'll turn turn his head and pet the dog or something. He knows better than he knows when it's too much, and he'll be like, kind of, okay, he kind of self-censors himself. But so I knew but they actually really liked part 5. They really liked it. I was kind of surprised because it wasn't, well, spoiler alert, but anyway, but yeah, they did. They've loved all of them up until 8, and then 8 just completely killed everything for them. So if you ever wanted proof that part 8 is really bad, and you know what was crazy is we've obviously watched these movies for our Slaycation.
Yeah.
But even after watching these for the Slaycation, when I went back and watched 8, because I haven't seen them as many times as you have, Brian, but when I went back and watched 8, I'm like, I don't remember any of this movie except for the Manhattan part. Like, I don't remember the boat. I don't remember any of this. And I'm like, and I watched this movie for the Slaycation. How could I not remember any of this movie? And I swear I could not. I was like, where did this happen? I don't know this.
And do you want to know interesting trivia? I think I may have said this before. 8 was the first one I saw in the theater.
It was the first one I saw in the theater.
Yeah, because I was... Yeah. I mean, it wasn't... I think I was... I mean, one, I was old enough at that point to go myself and see it. But also, it was like, I had seen the first 2 on cable. Then I think the third one I saw on... Yeah, I probably saw the third on cable, too. And then it was really VHS time back then because I really wasn't going to horror movies. My mom wasn't going to take me to see those kind of horror movies at that point. Well, she would have if I asked, but it wasn't until I got back into the series where... I think someone was telling me of how good part 6 was, and I said, "Oh, I remember this series, Friday the 13th. Let me go back and look." But I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. So I watched 6, and I'm like, you know what? I really should watch probably 4 and 5 back. So I went back and saw 4 and 5. 7 was the one I wanted to see in the theater, and I was supposed to go, and something happened. I don't know. I got sick or something when my friends all went, so I couldn't see it. And then I ended up, that was a quick turnaround to cable back then. So then I saw it on cable when it came out. And so 8 was the first one I was like, okay, I was an adult. I remember I was living in California. I went by myself to see it. And there were 2 other people in the theater with me. And the weirdest thing, I don't know if I told this story. It was so bizarre. So I'm standing outside waiting to go in. And I was living in California. I didn't really know many friends at that point either. I had just kind of gotten out there for that summer. And so I was like sitting there and I was kind of like, it was the first time I was living out there. And I was like, well, let me just go. I'm going to just walk over here. And these two guys, they were my age. They were like, "Oh, you going to see Friday the 13th part 8? And I'm like, yeah, it should be cool. And he's like, "Oh, right on." So I go in there, and they were obviously good friends. I go sit down, right? They come in and go, they're probably heading over to sit next to me, which I'm like, okay, it makes sense. There's no one in this theater. I'm the only one they're talking to. But what's weird is each one of them sat on either side of me. I was like the cream in their Oreo sandwich, and I don't know why.
That would weird me out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not like it's just a weird way, and they were fine. They didn't really speak through the movie. They were just doing their own thing. It was just, I felt so awkward. Like, you two are friends. You don't know me from Adam. Why am I in the middle of your
sandwich
viewing thing? It was so bizarre. All I know is, like, after that, I was like, it scarred me from going to movies by myself for like years. I had to go with someone.
I thought it was going to turn out differently. I thought they were going to be like, "Hey man, since you're by yourself, you can come hang out with us." And then y'all became really good friends, and everything worked out happily. But
never saw them again. Thankfully, I don't know where these two guys are. I don't know if they sandwich everybody they meet, or it was just me. I don't know, but it was awkward. You know me, I could talk to anybody. You'll see me go up to anybody. I've heard that from my mother. I'll literally go up to like someone in the at the horror cons, right? I'll just go turn around, especially at a sporting event. I'll just start chatting somebody up, especially in sports, because it's fun to talk sports, and never a problem. But this that I don't exactly like bring like an entourage and then put that new said person in the middle of
That's
it. You know?
weird.
Right?
That's so weird.
Yeah.
The fact that they'd
bizarro.
sit near you anyway is weird.
Yeah,
in itself.
but I kind of could accept that when there's like no one else in the theater.
if they were going to
like,
talk to you and stuff.
and we chatted before. Remember, I
Yeah.
chatted out in front there, so it was a little bit. And I think we kind of chatted for a few minutes in there. But I mean, I sat there like motionless in that theater.
Oh,
I didn't
my
want to make eye
God.
contact with any of them because I didn't know if I was like they were trying to like I don't know what they were trying to do.
like putting their
just-
hand in your popcorn.
No, I didn't get food. I swear, I was like, I don't think I opened my mouth. I didn't like know it. And they were eating but the weirdest thing is they shared a popcorn, so they were like passing it across in front of me. I'm like,
no.
yes, I'm telling you, they
no.
offered me some. I didn't take it. I didn't know what was in
Oh.
there. I didn't know if they laced it with some kind of
Oh
weird
my
like
God, that's weird.
like yeah. I don't know. The whole
I
thing
s-
was just bizarre.
I saw it in the theater, but I clearly remember it was not a theater in town. I remember I was out of town because I saw it in a movie theater that was in a mall. And we didn't have a movie theater in our mall, so I know it was not our mall. It was a different mall at a different city. And I don't know why I was there, but I clearly remember going in and seeing it. In that
It's so
theater.
funny. Those both our first like Friday the 13th in theaters. Hey, you know. It's like I'm thinking back now, and it's like it could have been so much worse. Like imagine one of them just like put their head next to my ear, like want a sip, or like of a soda, like I'm like it could have been so worse. But
He
they
pulls out another straw from his pocket.
and he's
puts
like,
it in there.
"Yeah, would you like it? I brought my own straw for you." But yeah, and
Oh,
I
that's
think they were
so
kind of
weird.
socially awkward to begin with, but like that's fine. And everything. It was
Obviously.
just I'm sorry. I'm someone that kind of likes my personal space. I even get annoyed when like there's a whole parking lot and people feel like they need to park next to me, even though there's like 300 other spots nearby.
There's unwritten social rules, and one of the
Yes.
rules is if you're in a movie theater and there's one other person in there, you don't go sit next to them.
Right.
And there's a whole theater of empty seats. Like that's so
Yeah.
weird. But that happened to us one time. It doesn't happen to me often, but that did happen to us one time. We had this whole family. The whole theater's empty, and they come sit right beside us. And I'm like,
Why? Why do people do? I don't understand.
and they were
it.
loud, and they were talking the whole time, and I was like, this is
Yeah, those are the people that also like if you watch them play Tetris, they like build up the entire side and then
oh my God, those
then
people
die because they have all the space on one side, but they needed to fill everything up on the left.
Oh
you
my
know, it's
God,
like,
yes, I don't know what.
I think this whole needs a whole. I think there's got. I want to talk to a psychologist, like someone who studies human behavior, and ask: is there like a thing? Like
It
is
means
there
you're
a term?
a psychopath.
Yeah, like what does that mean? Like that you feel the need to be like fill the space of people, you know? And the weirdest thing is, well, I mean, granted, okay, so not only was I did take a premier seat in this theater, so maybe they had a thing about the center because I was like direct center. But like again, what could it have been that awful for them to like sit next to each other since they knew each other and I didn't? I don't know. Anyway. Besides that, moving on to all right. So you guys, you basically now took a stall in your friend. Well, that kind of puts a thwart in your horror challenge there. Now you're gonna have to like.
I know. Now I gotta watch actual.
That's like 4 movies you'll lose out on, but
yeah.
well, maybe they'll get back into it. You never know. Maybe
Yeah,
they
they
just
will.
need some time.
They need a
some
break.
time.
Yeah, they
Remember,
need
we
a
had years in between all these films. They
True.
had like days.
Yeah,
So.
true.
Okay. So so me the first thing one thing is I'll quickly, just since we did talk the movies, two highlights I wanted to talk about in my horror watching challenge. We mentioned the Horror in the High Desert. Was No One Will Save You. Have you seen it? Did you watch it yet?
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah, that was good.
I really liked that one a lot.
Yeah, it was
Actually,
good.
I was like, and no dialogue in it, which was
No dialogue.
which I was weird. But Caitlin Devers, oh my God, is she impressive in this movie? Like I loved her from Booksmart and something else she did. I saw her in. She is so talented. Her facial expressions in this are like, they're like mesmerizing. How good she is. I felt so bad in the movie for her, even though, with I don't want to give a spoiler away, but you find out why she's kind of like the little outcast of the town. But the whole movie, I just wanted to like reach in and give her a hug.
I know. Yeah, she was so good in it.
You were so good in this. You were so nice in that. And the next two really quickly are Spell, which was great. That was the one I remember you and I had a really, like, we loved the trailer in a dismemberment. And so I bought it and finally now got around to watch it. And Tim, I think you'd love it if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it yet.
It's okay. It's in my Vudu, so I share those with you. So go check that out too. It's Spell. It's the one about the hoodoo With the guy like crash lands with his family in this town, and like Loretta Devine is like a hoodoo priestess and stuff. That's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil much. But really, really good, super creepy, cool. And I know you kind of like that cool stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then the final one is I just finished it yesterday. Was Studio 66. Sorry, 666.
I want to see that one so bad because I'm a big Foo Fighters fan, and then
my God,
just totally missed this one.
You will love it. Again, it's on my Vudu, so enjoy. This movie does everything a horror comedy should. It's got like great cameos, great gore. Like the Foo Fighters look like they're having the best time in the world making this thing. Dave Grohl is like, he's an awesome dude anyway. You hear about all the humanitarian stuff he does, and it's just that nice dude. He is so funny in this, and it's just so off the rails.
Well, they'd be funny because their music videos were always hilarious.
Oh yeah, and this is just like this is like there's nothing you can not like about this movie. It's like one of the perfect horror comedies. Gotta go see this. You'll love it. I guarantee you, it's gonna blow you away. Nice. But anyway, so that's a little hard. But I wanted to bring up a little off-topic thing. Is I finally got to go. I remember I teased it, I think, last week. Julie and I went to a Hell's Kitchen restaurant because big fan of Gordon Ramsay. And so I definitely finally got the opportunity to wear. Because remember we were going to go at New Jersey Horror Con, but the wait was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to wait. So we went to his pub instead there. So this I made reservations like a month in advance to make sure I got it. It was really not that crowded. It was at 5 o'clock on a Sunday. It was also in the middle of the Niners Lions game. So I got to watch the first half of that. And then kind of followed on my phone right before, but, we went to the Hell's Kitchen, but let me tell you, so, there was this part of me was like, oh my God. Okay. So it's in a casino now. It's kind of been like, there's 6 of them. It's kind of almost going to be considered a chain now. I said, is this going to be like, did he sell out? And is this restaurant not going to be anything that you expect from Gordon Ramsay? Well, I don't think I in my wildest dreams could picture it as good as it was. Nice. I mean, literally the service perfection. They did something very unique there. So it's like Julie and I were discussing this too because Julie was super impressed too. We were basically saying it's like they made it so that everything is like the perfect experience of dining. So basically you get there as soon as you order, she'll say she even and I've never had a server actually say this to me like this because usually they'll do it, but they never actually assured me. They said if you want, you can order your appetizer and your meal now, but we'll make sure it comes out accordingly. How many times have you gotten that you go to a restaurant and you get your appetizer and 5 seconds later the meal comes and now you got this extra plate sitting there and someone else is not on the same level of eating as you are.
Oh, there's an art to it. There's a whole
right.
If you watch the Bear TV show, I love that the episode where the brother gets a job in this really high, super high end restaurant, and how they've got everything locked down to time and stuff. It was so cool.
Well, yeah, and that's what they do. And they literally as soon as your plate is done, they must be watching you from every angle because as soon as we were done, the server would kind of come over or a bus person would come over and take the plate away. So literally you never have just an empty plate sitting there for more than a few seconds.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the drinks were phenomenal. That's the thing I did not expect him to do. I don't know. I sent you that video. There's this thing. It was a smoked bourbon drink where it literally comes. It looks like remember the late Bray Wyatt from WWE? He'd come down with the little lantern.
Yeah,
that's what it would come in this glass box filled with smoke. It looked like the Hatbox Ghost. Yeah, I gotta post it on. I haven't been able to post it on Instagram yet. I will though. And it's this thing, and it's basically a fogged up glass box that's huge that could fit a human head in it, and it's all smoke in there. And you open it, and just all the smoke comes out and disappears, and your drink is left in it. It's it's worth it for the presentation alone. And basically, so Julie and I had 2 drinks each, but all 4 of them absolutely fantastic. You can't get wrong one. Emily would like it. There's a lot of Aperol and a lot of their drinks in there. It's great. Of course, I had the beef Wellington, which was literally perfection. I can't even I can't give a high enough ranking for this, how good it was. Like the meat was like melting in your mouth. The pastry was so flaky, just like it looks on the show. You know, it was like really cool. The portion was perfect. Like the mashed potatoes, like it has a smear on there. Because, you know, you go to usually a restaurant, it's like a pile of mashed potatoes and like something you don't finish because it's like, I felt like it was like the perfect amount of food. And we did a little trick. We hacked the system. So they basically have a price fix option that only one person has to get at the table. There were 2 appetizers. Julie, I each wanted one of them. It's a lobster risotto, which again was incredible, and the pan-seared scallops, which by the way were the best scallops I ever had. No joke. Most scallops you get at a restaurant rubbery, or chewy or something. This was like a perfect, like bite, like melted in your mouth. It's like perfect. And so, but what I did is, so there was a price fix gets you for, if it was for $95, it was the beef Wellington, the scallops, and a dessert. And it was $95. And if you added it up, basically what you end up getting is dessert for free.
Right.
And it was the sticky toffee pudding, which was ridiculous. It was ridiculously good, let me tell you. And then so Julie got her thing. She wanted this crispy skin salmon, which was like literally was the best description I've ever heard of it. Like the skin of it was so perfect crisp, but yet the salmon part was like cooked perfectly. I don't even know how they did it, but it was so good. And she got the lobster risotto as her appetizer. It wasn't price fixed, but we kind of did it. So we swapped and we split. And actually that was the thing too. The lady like overheard us. So she came over, she goes, "Oh, here." She goes, "You guys are going to split right here." And she came us with 2 big spoons. She's like, "Here, so you can split it without having to like mix the forks and everything." Like they think of everything there, literally.
That's
so
awesome.
Everything was like perfectly timed, perfect thing. Definitely not a cheap meal, but it was worth every penny. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I'm telling you.
That's cool. That's good to know. Like, it's not like some gimmicky thing. And
no, it is not.
I love that it's a really good restaurant.
Oh yeah, it's a standard. And I actually did something I never do, like open table. Like, you know, if you reserve it on there, they ask you how was it and everything. I literally spent a half hour writing a review of it, sending my pictures in, and they said, "Do you want to mention your server privately?" And I said, "Oh yeah," because I don't want to like shout anybody out. So I wrote that. So it's really good. So I highly recommend that place if you want a really like fancy night out. I know there's one in Vegas, there's one in Atlantic City, of course, there's the one in Lake Tahoe, I think there's one in Los Angeles, and a couple of others somewhere. I think there's one in DC or something coming, so we got to tell Ken you should go.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that was good. One of the other things I want to talk about is, so there's 2 new like full trailers for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Did you watch both, Tim?
No, I haven't. I didn't want to ruin it because I didn't want to. So I've been like staying away from the trailers, other than the one they first released.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just say the first one was, definitely revealed another character returning. The international trailer was completely different voiceover, different everything. Than other than a couple of sequences in the last like tag scene, which shows another returning character. Basically, and it definitely shows that they're really going for the international one made it like focused on the little more horror element of it, but you can definitely see they're trying to give like Paul Rudd a lot of comedy in this one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch them. I've been trying not to spoil it, but I'm too big of a Ghostbusters fan. I'm not kidding myself. I'm probably gonna watch them.
Yeah,
so.
I am like, let me tell you, I am like more excited than ever for this now. Like, just I cannot wait to see it because it looks like they, even if they don't like, even if they kind of make the same little thing we didn't like last time, where it was like, like they forgot it was a comedy at one point. I feel like you could just tell that there's more of a balance, but it's definitely like more of a creepy plot point in this. And the international trailer really focuses on some like looks like they're really gonna try and make it like as scary as you can for a PG-13 Ghostbusters movie. So
it almost makes me wonder if they like looked at how Afterlife performed and said, okay, we know the fans are there, we've listened, we're gonna come back and do like this. You know what I mean? Like, did they look at criticisms of Afterlife and like tweak it to make it even better, or did they look at Afterlife and go, okay, Ghostbusters could be successful again, so let's go all out now that we know that it's going to be a hit? I don't know, but it's neat. I'm glad they went this direction. Like, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I still enjoyed Afterlife, even with the slight criticisms I had on it. I still enjoyed it, but this one I'm looking forward to even more. This one looks even better.
Yeah,
this will be fun. Next thing I want to do is finally the gods of streaming services listen to me. I mean, because you're probably sick of me saying it, and every time found footage movies come up, I bring up 1974 La Posesión de Altair, or actually Altair is I think the way you pronounce it, how he says it, even though I say Altair. But this was a movie again that I just little recap. I had discovered it on that unnamed found footage festival we got invited to see online. It was during the pandemic. It was like a 24-hour straight found footage, and I remember the two that I watched fully, both I loved. There's I Blame Society and then this one. And I remember I like dozed off somewhere in the middle of this found footage festival and woke up right as this was about to start. So it was like I was kind of in like, oh God, I'm tired. I hope this one's good. And this thing woke me up. Like I was like, wow, this thing was so good because it's shot in 16 millimeter. It's supposed to take place in 1940. So it's got a real authentic feel because of the use of 16 millimeter film on it. And it's in Spanish, so there are subtitles. But basically, it finally came to a streaming service, Roku. Roku is a free channel if you just sign in and everything. You don't need to pay for it, and they have a decent movie library on there. And this one, of all the services to get this, was so weird that just appeared. I check every so often to see on Just Watch to see if it appears, and finally I saw the little Roku icon. I said, "You got to be kidding me, really?"
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I jumped on it, and I told Jeff Whitmire, he loved it because I've been screaming about it. Whoever would listen for years, and now it seems to like a couple of people have been watching it based off of that. And I knew once Jeff Whitmire got his hands on it, it would get out there more.
It would blow up.
Yeah, and it's like, so Tim, you're about to watch it, or you started watching it, but right before, and you had to stop. But yeah, it's really good. So it's on the Roku channel. Just download the app and search for it. It's great. Just one suggestion is in Spanish, and the subtitles, you just have to select subtitles. That's it. On there, like you would anything, like if you wanted to switch it. It just doesn't come in printed on the copy. Like, and that was the problem because it was available on YouTube and Canela TV, but there was no subtitle options. So if you don't speak fluent Spanish, you're gonna get really lost in this movie. But yeah, so definitely check this out. And finally, one other thing, just wanted to mention is some guy. This is actually funny. I found a post on this. Someone posted this, and Jeff Whitmire shared it. It was that Where the Devil Roams went up for pre-order on Blu-ray, and I bought the digital version of it because I wanted to see it right away. But they have Yellow Veil Pictures release is a limited edition, only made for the limited edition slipcover, 1,000 made through Vinegar Syndrome. I already ordered it today. Let me just tell you, when I ordered it, it was I think only 100 have been ordered. Now it's down to only 585 left. So almost 500 copies sold today.
Nice. So you pre-ordered on this. That quick.
Yeah, it's only $28 too. $28.99. It's normally $41, but it's on sale now for the pre-order. So if you want to get it, jump on it now. Comes with a ton of great features. It's got a special slipcover, of course, with really cool artwork. It's got some neat features on it. It's got their short film by the Adams, which is called Ever, which I want to see. Anything Adams does, I'm going to watch. It's got an essay, Tim, by Alexander Heller Nicholas on there.
Saucy little minx.
Yeah, it's got the transcription of the prologue poem, Where the Devil Roams. Got a behind-the-scenes documentary. And the movie itself is amazing. So I knew it was going to have to get added into my collection. I love that it's a special version like this. Of course, go back a couple episodes and listen to when we had the Adams on. We had Toby and John on, who we'd love to talk to. We'll talk to them any day of the week. They're great. Very inspiring filmmakers because, you just like the fact that they just did what they did as a family and create every movie is just better than the next. I mean, it's unbelievable what they do. So definitely check that out. There is a regular version, by the way, if this does sell out, but it's $2 cheaper. So why not buy the really cool limited edition slipcover, which has some really, really cool artwork on it. So check that out on Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome, I always like to support anyway. They do a great job of genre films.
All right, well, let's get to our main feature. This is Suitable Flesh, came out this year, directed by Joe Lynch, starring Heather Graham as Dr. Elizabeth Derby, Judah Lewis as Asa White, Bruce Davidson as Ephraim Waite, Jonathan Shake. Wow, these names. Jonathan.
Why is Jonathan Shaish like he's got like
Shaish.
4 syllables and it's like every letter you could put in
I
Jonathan is
know.
in there.
Jonathan Shaish, Edward Derby, Barbara Crampton as Dr. Daniela Upton. A psychiatrist becomes obsessed with one of her young patients, who she later discovers is linked to an ancient curse. This is a very, which you might not get from the description, is very Lovecraftian. So it takes place in Arkham, I think, and it's got Miskatonic.
They mention Miskatonic,
Yeah,
there's
there's
like
a lot
all the Lovecrafts are,
all the
like,
Lovecraftian references,
signatures are there.
which is great because Barbara Crampton being in it, of course, she's been in a couple of Lovecraftian based films like Reanimator and From Beyond. So
Yeah.
it was a nice nod there. I will have to say, so number one, I'm a huge Heather Graham fan. Always have been,
Yes.
because we we've grown up with her. Well, I think we mentioned that when we recorded our dismemberment, but we grew up with Heather Graham. So, or actually recorded it. God, I'm losing time because we're recording multiple episodes tonight. But anyway, we mentioned that we grew up with Heather Graham. So
Yes.
I've always been a big fan of hers, and somehow I keep getting older and she doesn't for some reasons, because they're just, again, like we said earlier in the episode, these women do not age. So I was looking forward to this one for that, and of course for Barbara Crampton, because I'll watch anything she's in. I will have to say, to be perfectly honest, this movie did not grab me until about the third act. Like I was still a little on the fence through, I'd say maybe the 45-minute mark, and it just wasn't clicking with me. But I will say, by the time it finished, I was definitely on board. Like I really liked it when all was said and done, but it really didn't start really, really clicking for me until about the third act.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. And I think here's the thing. I enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it up until that point, but I think I was enjoying it more so because I like watching Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton do
Exactly.
anything. So
Yeah.
it's like I was always going to, like, I would never like turn it off or anything. So I'm obviously going to stick with it. But I think they're so good that they could take possibly like
A slow
maybe
start. Yeah.
a slow start and like really go with it. And what's great is like Heather Graham really like in that third act like just goes like without, I'm trying not to say it with why she does this, but because it's there's definitely some twists that better yet to discover from watching it than us telling you. And I try not to, with a movie this new, I don't definitely want to stay away from spoilers. But it's basically Heather Graham gets to really push her acting chops to show truly I feel she's very underrated, how good she is.
Yeah.
And good she can be. And this shows her like she goes the full gamut in this.
And I think one of the reasons why I think it didn't capture me right away is because the horror element is not very strong in the first part of the movie. Like you don't really get to see a lot of like the horror side. It's more of just like the synopsis says, a psychiatrist becomes obsessed with one of her young patients. So it kind of feels more like a thriller type
almost
movie.
Like soap opera-y a little bit.
Yeah,
like
almost like a Lifetime movie kind of. Not that it has the same budget feel or anything. It doesn't. I'm saying from like a true crime Lifetime movie perspective. That's kind of what it doesn't really feel horror. Now it does get there. You just got to be patient.
Yeah.
And when it gets there, it goes crazy and it's a lot of fun. And I loved the last act of the movie. So just be patient. I'm just telling you that. So if you start watching it, you're like, I don't know about this. Just stick with it. I think you're really gonna get a good payoff. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of sexual situations in this movie. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. It goes into some places that I did not expect, and it has a very interesting take on, let's just say, possession.
Yeah, it does a unique way, where it's kind of like, it almost like gives you the illusion that like you've kind of seen it before, but you didn't. I don't.
Yeah.
Think. It's like does it no, and it's like there is a little bit of a confusing element to the lore or the rules that it follows a little bit that I was a little bit confused on, and I had to I think I had to watch it like a couple of scenes a second time to just make sure I caught what I thought I saw. And I don't know if that's intentional or it's just. And now don't get me wrong. Joe Lynch, I think, is an amazing director. I think he does a great job. So I have a feeling he intentionally made it that way, because I don't think he's not a director that I would expect him like a mistake from.
Right.
He's
yeah.
Like everything the things he's done that I've watched, I've loved all of them. So I just I think it's meant to be a little bit confusing to try and I think, ramp up that third act. Which so if you find yourself watching this and you kind of get the same kind of things that we're kind of saying, just please stick with it. Don't give up on it. Because I mean, even what we're saying is like it's not like the first two acts are bad. It's just I think they're a little. They kind of seemed a little different than when the third act finally kicks in. Kind of goes.
It does feel like a little bit of a different movie when it does kick in. Yeah,
right.
It does.
It wasn't just me. I didn't know if it was just me or
no.
I do have a question for you because I know you're a big like Lovecraftian lore guy. And
yes.
How do you feel like the Lovecraft element was done in this? Because a lot of people take on the Lovecraft stories and some hit, some miss. How do you think that worked out for you? Because I know you're like my Lovecraft guy that I'm going to ask about these.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's hard for me to. To me, it didn't feel very Lovecraftian, other than they used some names out of that universe. Because typically, Lovecraft wrote in the 1920s, and to me, the classic Lovecraftian period is 1920s. When I play the Call of Cthulhu RPG, which we're going to try to get a session together.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? We need to like write all the notes down that happen so we could like kind of update the listeners on like how it went.
Yeah. So we're going to do a Call of Cthulhu is a sort of like D&D, but it takes place in a Lovecraftian universe, and it's less combat focused than Dungeons and Dragons. So because obviously you're facing impossible odds, you're not going to kill an elder god. So a lot of times things go badly for the players in Call of Cthulhu. You go insane, or you get killed, or any number of things. So a lot of Call of Cthulhu RPG is around solving a mystery, gathering clues, talking to people, trying to figure out what's going on. But to me, that classic Lovecraftian is always that 1920s time period, and that's when I set all my role-playing games. Was always in the 1920s. That's the one we're going to play is going to be set in the 1920s. So it's hard for me to break out Lovecraftian into like a modern era. Not that it can't be done. I mean, there's people that run modern era Lovecraftian Call of Cthulhu campaigns. There's entire source books on how to run these campaigns in modern times. But for me, it's hard for me to jump from that 20s mindset to like modern day with Heather Graham. So to me, it didn't. Yeah, to me, it didn't feel very Lovecraftian. But I also really appreciated that they snuck that in, because I love anything Lovecraft, and the idea that this was taking place at Miskatonic, and that I think she mentions one time they're going to put you in Arkham or something. I thought that was great.
I heard. Yeah, I caught all that too.
Yeah,
I kind of liked all those things.
I love the references, so don't get me wrong. Even though to me it didn't feel very Lovecraftian, I think it was more because it was a modern setting, and there really aren't any explicit like Lovecraftian like creature references or anything. So that's why it didn't feel Lovecraftian to me, but just the sheer references and the fact that Barbara Crampton was a part of it, because she's automatically tied into Lovecraft just from her roles in From Beyond and Reanimator. But yeah, I still appreciated it regardless. So
nice. Yeah, no, I mean, overall, I think it's definitely I was definitely something I was looking forward to, because it was, she and Heather Graham were both promoting it for a little bit on social media, so I was really excited to watch it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this thing like day one when it comes out. It'll be perfect for my 366 movies I gotta watch.
Yeah,
I can't be too choosy. But yeah, no, and plus I love Joe Lynch's movies, so I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna there's no way I'm not watching this right away. And I mean, I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. Like you said, other than a few like criticisms, which I don't even know were for their criticisms, because they could have just been not our cup of tea. You know, it could have been. I mean, I like I said, I think Joe Lynch is a really capable and good director. I don't think he'd let like a mistake of pacing or something like that fly. So I think I'm pretty sure everything he did there was intentional. And I think just overall, I thought the cast was great, because I think like even Jonathan Strache, although his name is way too long, because Jonathan's really spelled Johnathon. Usually Jonathan, when it's like that, there's no first H in there, if I'm correctly right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It feels like there's way too many letters in it. But anyway, he was even good. He was really good in it. Heather Graham, of course. Barbara Crampton was great in it, of course. The guy that played the Asa White, Judah Lewis, he was really good. I mean, Bruce Davidson's always good. So, like, definitely the choice of actors in this were were top notch. So that always can kind of level up a movie to begin with.
And
so.
I will say, and this might be a lapse in my Lovecraftian knowledge, but they actually credit H.P. Lovecraft as a writer on this film at IMDb.
Yeah.
And Dennis Paoli, who was the writer, he has also done the screenplay for Dagon, which I don't know if you've seen. That was from 2001. That was another Lovecraftian film that I really liked. Now that one was very Lovecraftian.
I don't think I've seen that. Yeah,
that you need to go watch that one, Brian. Dagon.
I know I've heard of it. It's probably from you. You probably mentioned it.
And then so he's done Lovecraftian movies before. So there's probably some references in here that I'm missing because I don't know which story he's basing it off of, and it may be that if I went back and oh my god, this is exactly based off of X Lovecraft story. But again, the modern stuff throws me because I only think of Lovecraftian in 1920s terms.
Well, guess what, Tim? Not only is Dagon available on streaming service, it's on the Roku channel.
There you go. That's a good one.
Them sneaking all these movies now they're on, but it's also on Plex, which is another unheralded source of.
It's actually
movies.
one of my favorite. I think it's one of the best Lovecraftian adaptations of the last, since. Well, there's never.
Oh, and Stuart Gordon did it.
Yeah, there's. I'm going to go ahead and say it's very hard to adapt Lovecraft to the screen. I mean, recently, The Color Out of Space is probably the best example of it.
Oh, that's right. I like that one.
But if you've seen, there's not a lot of Lovecraft movies that really hit it on the head. Now, I mean, Reanimator and From Beyond were great, but I think they were kind of their own thing. Like, if you're trying to adapt an actual story, like you're not just throwing Lovecraft elements into a modern day story. If you're actually trying to adapt a story like set that time period, there's not a whole lot of movies that do that. But Dagon was really good. I keep wanting to call it Dagon. That sounds like Dagon it.
I know, Dagon, gotta get it.
So I call it Dagon. I don't know how you pronounce it. You don't know how to pronounce any of these Cthulhu things. It's not even Cthulhu. I think it's like somebody said it's actually like Cthulhu or something. I don't know. I just call it Cthulhu.
I always say Cthulhu. That's how I say it.
Who knows? I don't think Lovecraft even knew how this crap was pronounced.
He just did it on purpose.
Yeah. But anyway, so check this one out. I mean, like I said, does it have its problems? Yeah, I think the biggest problem is I think the director knew what the movie was, but from a viewer's perspective, I didn't know where it was going for most of the movie. And it didn't really tie in. And then even I would say even in Act 3, well, my voice is getting shot, but even in Act 3, I think there were times where I thought, okay, this is the end of the movie, and then it wasn't the end of the movie kind of thing. But not in a bad way, because I was still entertained, but sometimes I feel like it was almost like kind of going off the rails a little bit, and then it had to steer back on track. I don't know. It's weird. It's you guys have to watch it yourself, but I felt it kind of meandered sometimes. So.
It did, but again, is it a perfect film? No. Is it a really good?
It's entertaining,
film? Yeah.
Yes, and definitely. And Heather Graham's awesome in it. So
yes, yeah. Heather Graham is should get
and Barbara Crampton.
Yes, well, yeah. I mean,
this goes without saying. Yeah.
Two of my when I get two of my favorite actresses in a movie like that, I'm there's always that advantage.
So, what do we have for our beer pairing for Suitable Flesh?
So here's an old favorite of mine, actually, from
Me
the
too.
early days of craft beer, and I don't know if we've ever chosen it. We might have once, but I don't know. I don't remember this whole description that I've cultivated from the site on it. But this is one of my favorites, and it's Flesh and Blood IPA from Dogfish Head. Out of Milton, Delaware.
That might be my favorite Dogfish Head beer, actually. That's one of
there was another one that they used to make, but it stopped doing it, and this became my favorite. And this is one of those. This one is technically, I hate to say it because it sounds like it's diminishing it but it's not. It's this is a good kind of one of those house craft beer.
This is your grocery store beer.
Yeah,
You can buy this, give it to your friends at the party. You're not breaking the bank. Yeah, yep. This is good.
And you know what? You're not going to be disappointed.
No, it's good. Anybody, your friends aren't going to be insulted when you hand them one of these.
No. And in fact, I remember when Dogfish Head was one of the leading craft breweries, or in the early days of before. Now, every guy with a beard is making one. But it's so. But so. anyway, so so I'll read the description. 7.5%. So it's crafting delicious beer doesn't start with ingredients. It starts with exploration. Back in the 90s, our constant need to experiment with culinary ingredients was considered hearsay by some. See, this kind of fits with what I was kind of saying. But it was the passion and the constant trial and error that led to pure alchemy, and we began brewing with a real fruit pulled from our brewpub kitchen. Made with sweet apricots, Aprihop blazed the trail as one of the first fruit-infused IPAs. Says the ongoing journey continues today with Flesh and Blood IPA. So that Aprihop was one of their first.
Yeah.
This is their new one. It says we could save time and money by brewing with fruit extracts, but for us, authenticity counts. And when we say brew with real fruit, we mean it. Brew with mouthwatering, puckering lemon flesh, sweet orange peel, and blood orange juice. Flesh and Blood balances the resinous, hoppy characteristics of an American IPA with the explosive, zesty fruitfulness and subtle drying tartness of citrus to deliver a highly quaffable. Remember, he said that in Sideways.
Yeah, quaffable.
Highly quaffable ale that's incredibly unique and lovely to down the whole year round.
I can't find this one sometimes. It's kind of hard to find sometimes.
I think I want to say almost it became a little seasonal.
Yeah.
Now, but that's probably because of the. All honesty, wouldn't be surprised if because of the pandemic and all these weird shortages and farms and stuff, they use real fruit. They may have trouble getting it.
Yeah. So, but that's a good one. That's definitely a solid house beer for sure.
Yes.
All right. So our fan topic food is interesting, and this one's I've been racking my brain on this one.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a spoiler to the movie based on now her new series of the way we do the fan topic.
But not too bad. Not too bad.
No, not too bad.
So the question is, if you could switch bodies with anyone in the world, who would it be? So I have a question on this one. So when I switch the bodies, am I still me, but I'm in the body, or am I kind of like riding along with the person? I think switch, implies that I'm actually in their body and they've switched to my body.
Yeah, that's the way I think in the spirit of the question. I say we say it like that.
Because my first instinct was I would switch bodies with Taylor Swift. Because I like to experience the life of like a super pop star. But then I was like, no, I would like kill her career. Can you imagine if I switched bodies with Taylor Swift?
Oh, because you'd be controlling.
And I can't sing. I can't sing. I can't dance. I don't know her choreography. I guess her body would be in shape, but like she'd be like going out on the Eras tour, and I wouldn't know any of the words to the songs. It would be a complete freaking disaster, and everybody would be like, "What happened?"
Well, here's the thing, though. At least Anna would be joining you because she loves Taylor Swift. So you wouldn't even need to convince her. You just say, "Hey, kid, come along with me here." Because I assume it would be that she didn't know that you switched bodies. Yeah. So you could get her and she'd probably teach you all the lyrics.
I don't know. But then I thought, okay, let's say that's not.
Didn't it seem like a movie in itself, like a weird thing where it's like a Taylor Swift fan like somehow switches with the body and then Taylor Swift's the kid? I feel like that's going to be eventually come out.
But then I thought, okay, well, I don't want to torpedo somebody's career. Like I gotta switch to somebody where it's not immediately noticeable. So then I thought, I'm going to go back to the 80s. I'm going to switch bodies with Joshua. So now I can be young again. He can feel what it's like to be old. And I can like keep him from getting into trouble or something. I don't know.
So you're doing the old like, was it 18 again?
18 again, yeah.
Vice versa.
I'm doing that.
Doing the whole 80s movie trend. Of
exactly.
Friday with it.
Maybe. Yeah. Although it would be interesting to switch bodies with a woman. Like that would be interesting. Like that would.
See, I would say that, but I'm not gonna lie, and this is gonna sound horrible to me, but I think I'd be just obsessed with my own boobs the whole time.
Probably.
I'd literally be like just probably going into the mirror and just not leaving.
Yeah.
Just standing there,
just
not
like rubbing the nipple, just staring in the mirror.
Like I really think that's why men are like like because they obsessed with boobs because we don't really. We don't have the same kind.
I've got nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Yeah, can you milk? I mean, yeah, sure. I guess we have them per se, and some men out of shape have more than others, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, this is a tricky one. I don't know because I didn't also give a time period on it. So I'm assuming let's put it in the cinematic world where you have a limited time. You have about
24 hours.
About 24 hours is usually in the movie realm. What they do. So if I had 24 hours, I know this sounds like kind of petty, but no, you know what? If it's only 24 hours, it's hard to do. Because I'd say I'd put I'd want to switch with someone who's really influential in the world that can make some good changes for the good, you know? But like I'd say, like I couldn't be a president because they don't really, you know, in 24 hours,
you're not gonna do
nothing
much, yeah.
be able to do. I don't know, like, and I guess technically I have to pick a specific person. And I, you know, since I made this question up, I'm trying to think, like, what are my rules to it? I mean, can I make it a specific time period too?
I don't know. I don't feel like it'd have
I-
to be somebody living.
Well, no, meaning like I'd put myself in like an athlete, like right as they're in the championship game about to win, so I could get the feeling of what it's
yeah,
like
I
to
think
win
you
a
could do that.
championship.
Or like you switch right after they win the Super Bowl or something. That way you don't have to actually like
Oh, you're
perform.
Right. You're right, and I wouldn't kill. Oh yeah, so then you know what? I think I'd switch with any of the New York Rangers right as they're winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Like with like seconds to go. But I guess I'll pick, let's see. I'm trying to think who the closeout is. You know what? I'll pick Adam Fox because he's the defenseman on the Rangers. Not that I have remotely any skill like he does, but we both grew up in the same town. So I figure I could at least like fake my way through like town history.
Well, that's like
if I'm asked.
like for the
you
Taylor
know?
Swift thing, like you don't switch place with Taylor Swift, you switch place with one of her friends.
Right. So you can
So then you can kind of like
yeah.
be in the aura of the celebrity stuff, but you don't have to actually perform at that level, and that way you can get a taste of it without having to like screw everything up.
Also, I don't think I could like, if I were to be able to switch with her, I don't think I'd be able to last the 124 hours of her career. She's like everywhere, constantly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like she doesn't get a break, and she's like flying here and then going right to football games and then back out to sing and then record and like do a commercial.
Oh,
and like I'm like,
speaking of singing, this is completely off topic, but what else is new?
right.
That We Are
It's our show.
the We Are the World documentary on Netflix is really good.
Yeah, and my friend was from college was one of the composers on it.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, if you look up in the IMDb, his name's Go Nakamura. That's his actual name, but I knew him as Tak.
Mhm.
But in college, but he was actually in. It's funny. So when I finally show you that a horror movie that I did, like when a cheesy horror movie, he's in it. So I'll show you. I'll point him out in that. But he's actually done a couple of. He's done actually some good art movies I think they were pretty big festival movies. It was wait, I'm gonna pull the name up, but yeah, if you look up the thing, he was one of the composers because he was showing a picture on his Instagram of him in front of the Netflix thing. I'm like, oh, how do you get to there?
Yeah, it's really good because like Lionel Richie's talking about like being at Michael Jackson's house writing it, and like some of the stories and stuff are hilarious. So it's actually much more entertaining than you might.
Oh no, I grew up. I remember those
Yeah.
videos. Okay, so he was in. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Where's the movie? Okay, so Surrogate Valentine was the first movie he did, and then they did a sequel to it called Daylight Savings. Both kind of artsy films, but I mean, he's really good in it. But he's a real musician, so he plays kind of himself in it. But it's a drama movie, and it actually got. I want to say it like. Yeah, it had a premiere at the South Essex SW film, Southwest South whatever thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he was big on there, but he didn't direct it. It was directed by Dave Boyle. But anyway, but he's pretty talented musician. That's what his real calling is. And so yeah, so it was pretty cool that he was able to like be a composer in this documentary. So I'm definitely want to watch it anyway. But now that like I know that, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely watching that now.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I haven't finished it, but I mean, so far I've completely enjoyed the half of it I've watched. So I definitely highly recommend that one.
I just thought it was funny that like Dan Aykroyd was in there.
I know, yeah.
You know,
But
the fact that they got him in there, but
it was pretty amazing though. Like they had to get the only way they could get all these people together the same night was to do it the night of the music awards. That's the only way they could get all these celebrities together. It's really, really, really interesting. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so
what was the movie? Oh God, I was just watching it where it was like Daddy's Home 2, where like Mark Wahlberg was. But remember his like he was doing at his concert in high school. He was supposed to do the Sting like solo part, and then he got distracted, so he didn't do it. And then they made fun of him, so it like traumatized him his whole life. It's kind of funny. Yeah, but We Are the World. Like, if we grew up at that. That was a huge thing.
Huge.
Well, remember there was Band-Aid?
Band-Aid was first, yep.
Which did the Do They Know It's Christmas?
Yeah.
With, like, that was all the Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Singers, I think.
And they based "We Are the World" off of Band-Aid. That's where they got the idea.
Right. Yeah, and this was just this was called USA for Africa was the name of their group, right?
Yeah.
So
it's really fascinating. It goes through the whole thing and it really talks to all because a lot of the people obviously are still living that worked on it and talked about the I mean, you hear a lot of the behind the scenes, like how they had to schedule it and all that. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and that was back then when remember they used to have all these incredibly full day televised pay per view benefits like Live Aid and Farm Aid. My stepdad somewhere still has a box of VHS tapes where all of Farm Aid was done. I remember they used to have Comic Relief.
Yeah,
was on with Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, they still do Farm Aid because they still do Farm Aid every. Willie Nelson does that because me and Kevin went to a Farm Aid in Raleigh one time and that was awesome. Oh my God, Brian, you would have loved that. It was all day. I mean, of course, all day concert because it's Farm Aid, but they had a craft beer in the. You know how usually you're going and you're paying the beer prices for the venue. There was a craft beer festival in the not the amphitheater. What am I trying to look for? The concert place. So they had all these local breweries bring their beer, so you could buy good craft beer the whole day of Farm Aid. And Farm Aid was from the morning until the night. And it was Willie Nelson and Jack White from the White Stripes was there. Neil Young was there. I mean, these big names. John Mellencamp was there. We saw these big names, and we got shit faced.
I can imagine.
Completely
donated everything. That's probably
hammered.
why.
Oh my God, I've never been that destroyed.
You probably saved 7 farms yourself with the beer.
I've never been that destroyed, and I'm not one to go to a concert and get wasted because I want to listen to the music, all the money I paid. But I'm telling you, when you're going to be there all day and you're drinking craft beer all day.
Yeah, that'd be dangerous.
There were people. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have ambulances pulling up with stretchers to get people out of that place. I don't even remember how we got home. I mean, obviously we took a cab. It was.
One of the closest things like that to me was this. It was when I was in California the second time when I was here for college, and I went to this when I was working for the school radio station. We sponsored some. It was in Livermore, it was a blues and funk festival. They had some good bands there and some good classic, well-known people there. And I remember at that point I was getting pretty drunk to the point, but so many people were. And I remember there was this one woman got so drunk, she literally just, I put my cup down, she stole it and then filled it up with her own beer and just started drinking out of it. I'm like, oh. You don't know what I have. What if I had something?
Oh my God.
But I still remember I'm where did my cup go? And I see this woman that was barely covered in her
We need
outfit.
to do if we ever do Patreon, we need to do an off topic on just concert stories. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Some of the
I know, because I have some doozies, but well, anyway, this is a good time as any to wrap it up because I already promised Tim it would be a certain time tonight, and I went over, but
all good.
Good shows.
All good. We had 2 good shows. You guys are going to really enjoy the Dismemberment tomorrow, and we will see you back here next week. Take care, and stay away from the body snatchers or the body switchers or whatever you want to call it.
The Cthulhu's.
Later.